Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something that affects pretty much everyone, but that most of us never even think about: the people who make the rules for global finance.
We tend to think of our money in national terms. The dollar, the euro, the yen. But the reality? It's all part of one huge, interconnected global system. A ripple on one side of the planet can turn into a tidal wave on the other in like an instant.
And that brings up a really fascinating question, doesn't it? If there's no single world government, who's actually in charge? Who's writing the rulebook for this massive, globe-spanning money machine? Well, that's exactly what we're about to find out.
Okay, so our first stop is in Switzerland. We're looking at an organization that's, and this is cool, basically the central bank for all the other central banks. It's called the Bank for International Settlements, or the BIS for short.
Now, let's be clear, the BIS isn't a bank for you or me. You can't just walk in and open a checking account. Nope. Its customers are the big players, the U.S. Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, you get the idea. Its whole mission is to get them all talking and working together to keep the entire global financial system from, well, falling apart.
So how do they actually do that? Well, a lot of it happens through something called the Basel process. The BIS basically hosts these super important committees where global standards get hammered out. If you've ever heard of the Basel Accords, these are the rules that tell banks how much cash they need to keep on hand to stay safe. Yep, those rules were born right here.
All right, so beyond the Central Bankers Club, you've got these other groups that act like the watchdogs for the whole system. Let's talk about two of the biggest ones: the Financial Stability Board and the International Organization of Securities Commissions.
The Financial Stability Board, or FSB, is kind of like the system's smoke detector. Its whole job is to constantly scan the horizon looking for new threats or weaknesses in the global economy. It tries to spot the dangers and then recommends ways to fix them before they blow up into a full-blown crisis.
And then there's IOSCO. Think of this one as the global club for all the agencies that regulate stock and bond markets, like the SEC in the United States. They all get together to make sure there's some consistency, some high standards for how markets work all over the world. And really, everything IOSCO does, all of their work, it just boils down to three core ideas, three really, really important goals. And here they are. First, protect investors, people like you and me. Second, make sure the markets are fair and that the game isn't rigged. And third, stop a problem in one corner of the system from taking down the whole thing. It's all about building confidence, right?
Okay, so we've got these powerful-sounding organizations. We've got the BIS, the FSB, IOSCO. They're setting standards for the whole world. But this leads to a pretty big question.
How do they actually enforce any of this? Can they slap a fine on a country or a bank that doesn't follow the rules? Are these things actually like international laws?
The answer is no, not at all. Their decisions have absolutely no direct legal power. And I know that sounds totally bizarre, right? But the way they use their influence is actually way more subtle, and you could argue even more powerful.
So here's the secret sauce. It's not about legal force, it's all about moral suasion and peer pressure. See, the member countries, and we're talking about the world's biggest economies here, they all agree and commit to go home and turn these international standards into their own national laws. Because let's face it, no country wants to be seen as the weak link with sloppy, untrustworthy financial rules.
So why should we care about this whole system of peer pressure and gentlemen's agreements? Why does it matter to us? Let's tie it all together.
In a world where billions of dollars can cross borders at the click of a button, you have to have a shared rule book. It's essential. This system of cooperation is what makes that possible. It makes sure a bank in Tokyo is playing by roughly the same safety rules as a bank in New York.
And at the end of the day, it all boils down to one word: trust. This system builds the confidence we all need to save, to invest, to just participate in the economy without constantly worrying. It's the quiet reassurance that there are standards out there designed to protect us.
But all this leaves us with one last massive question. Look, this system of soft power, this honor system, it's gotten us this far. But with things like crypto and AI changing the game at lightning speed, is an informal system of peer pressure really going to be enough to protect us from the next big crisis?